Oh, hello everyone, it's Susie here, Crypto Granny. The date is the 25th of March 2021 and the time is 17:17 in the Netherlands, Amsterdam time. An interesting market. We did see a lot of the charts were so mixed in the last couple of days. It's a real tussle between the buyers and the sellers. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen such weird looking charts, seriously, in my whole life of 40 years of looking at charts, honestly. And it just seems that there was just so much selling all over the place from Wales and everywhere else. And for the life of me, I cannot understand it at all. But in the scheme of things, this is what markets do. We are in risk markets, so we have to be aware of the risk. We're in the riskiest market of all, the cryptocurrency market. It has more risk than all the other markets put together by at least 10,000. Seriously, it does. We all, obviously when the markets come down, we all lose money. Just going to have some water. But it's an unrealised loss. And my view is this market will go higher over the course of the year. And I take a long-term view, particularly in my investment portfolios. And even in my trading portfolios, you can hold a trade up to a year. Generally, short-term trading can be anything from now to within a year. You can be a swing trader, a very short-term trader or whatever. But I see this market as being incredibly cheap at the moment. If we just step back and look at the macroeconomics of the situation, it is very clear to me what's going to happen with all risk markets. And the fact is, excuse me, you've got the Fed in there, and those guys just keep issuing more and more money into the economy, okay, into the money market system, into the capital markets. They're not stopping, and they've made it very clear from their last testimony with, what was his name, Federal Chief Jeremy Powell, and also Yellen, who's obviously the Treasury Secretary. They've made it very clear they're going to do whatever it takes in this economy to get it moving, the US economy particularly. And they've made it very clear that we're going to issue more and more debt into the system to get the US economy moving again in terms of economic growth and employment, and they don't care about inflation, even though we have an inflationary problem. They see it as 2%, and they see that they need to do something to get the US economy generating jobs, okay? And that's the main thing, right? And with that, they're going to keep increasing money. And that's the big picture, and in that environment, risk assets overall will perform, okay? There is no two ways about it. I have no doubt in my mind about that. Now, if you looked carefully at the testimonies in the last 2 days, what the Fed came out with, and I've been looking at those testimonies in great detail, and they're basically all in. The Fed is all in. They're going to buy assets, right? Which means ploughing money into the system. They're going to buy high yield assets, corporate bonds, mortgage-backed securities, commercial-backed securities. They're going to buy equities, right? They're going to do what it takes to keep this market up. There is no doubt in my mind, and they've said that. They've made it very clear they do not expect rates, the Fed rates, to increase until 2023. Forget about what Kaplan said. It's the US Fed that makes the decision, and most of them will not. 11 out of 17 of the Fed people that sit on the Federal Open Markets Committee, out of 17 said we do not want rates hiked, the Fed funds rate, until 2023. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that is a green light for free money, okay? You can borrow money at, 1 or 2%. Now, if you can borrow money at 1 or 2%, and in the crypto market you can get 1,000% return in a quarter, it's a no-brainer, okay? No matter what, it's a no-brainer, and that's fair income, right? The thing is, they're talking about the US wants to get to GDP growth of 6% by the end of the year. And I have no idea where they got that from, because seriously, GDP growth, gross domestic product, of 6% is about the economy generating growth, employment opportunities, corporate opportunities, small business opportunities, so that they can get their high unemployment rate down. Now, according to them, their unemployment rate is 6% or something, 6.2, which I find is absolute bunkum. Okay, every week in the US with initial job claims, and that's what you should be looking at. Every week in the US, initial jobless claims are going up higher and higher. Okay, just today, 684,000 new people applied for first-time unemployment benefits. Okay, and this keeps going on and on. It's not getting any better. So the US will keep putting money into the system. Now, if you look at the US debt, if you look at USDebtClock.org, it's an internet site, have a look at just how much debt the US is generating. Now, at the moment, it's well over 28 trillion. There's so many numbers here, I can't even work out whether it's trillion or more. And according to that US debt clock, the average debt payer owes $224,000. The debt per citizen is $85,000, right? A population of 330 million the US has, and they only have 125 million people paying income tax, right? Have 125 million full-time workers, and when you look at these stats, it's scary. Okay, US bankruptcies are up by 656,000. 36 million people live in poverty in the US. There's people, 40 odd million are on food stamps. You've got US retirees of 55 million. So when you look at these stats, you've only got a third of the population working. Okay, and you've got this massive liability that's owed because of US debt that's being issued into the market, right? And this is not even talking about currency and credit derivatives or anything else, right? The US is in, absolute debt dire straits, but yet the Fed is going to keep issuing more and more debt. Now, obviously, they did it with the 1.9 trillion that came out. They're now talking, Biden's now talking about an infrastructure deal, potentially $3 trillion to work on the infrastructure of the US, old bridges and this sort of thing, old bridges and roads and everything else. And as far as I'm concerned, this market will be inflated by more and more money. And the Fed has stated that time and time again. And I believe that, okay? Now, the thing is, they will just keep generating money into the system. Whether the market's down today or tomorrow and the next day, the thing is, right, all this money's coming in, right? People can sell as much as they want. But the reality is, when all this money comes into the market, and I know it's going to generate so much money looking for a home and looking for a return, and the alternative is to go into risk assets, okay? You're not going to go into a 10-year US bond at 1.612%, which is where it is at the moment. You're not going to put it in the bank because they're going to charge you a custodian fee. Some banks had negative interest rates, and you have to pay a custodian fee to keep your money there. If you sit in THETA, if you sit in US fiat currency or anything else, you're just going to lose money, right? You're getting a depreciation effect because of the effect of inflation, okay? The growth of money, the currency is not going up enough to offset the high inflation, all right? So this is macroeconomics, okay, and microeconomics. And, as far as I'm concerned, the US will just keep plowing money into the system, and that is a recipe for risk markets to go up. Whether they go up a week from here, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but they will go up. So I still believe, and I'm firm about this, I haven't changed my attitude, not at all. For me, this is a buying opportunity, okay? An absolute buying opportunity. Yes, I got my clients to buy yesterday. Yes, we were premature, but, it is a buying opportunity, and I believe this market will come back. There's no two ways about it. If the fundamentals are there in the cryptocurrency projects that we buy, and they're making money, this is the new world of cryptocurrency technology. I have no doubt about it in my mind. And Bitcoin down at 51,503 is cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Particular assets that are down, like Bankruptcies at 233, cheap. You know, when they've got the goods, it is a no-brainer, right? And I don't care how low this market goes because I just see it as a buy opportunity. You cannot be in risk markets without taking the downside as well. Markets do this. They go up and they go down. And when there's rallies, markets sell off. And that is just the normal course of markets. And if you don't have the stomach for it, you shouldn't be in the market. It's just that bloody simple, right? If you don't have the stomach for it, you should be investing in a term deposit. It's going to give you no return at all. And you've got the depreciation of inflation and everything else, right? And the currency going down because of bad government management all over the friggin' world, okay? Because they just don't know what they're doing. And that's a fact, right? Having a cup of coffee. Oh, God, thank God for that coffee, I tell you. I even need it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, seriously. So when we look at this market, a market cap is 1.6 trillion. Volume is 85 billion and certainly up. Liquidity is up at 3 billion. And Bitcoin dominance is at 59.87. And we normally get this sell-off when we see Bitcoin dominance around this level, right? And that's interesting. But my view is this market will still go to 4.5 trillion by the end of the year. It'll be bigger than anything else. And, you know, the cryptocurrency market could take over all markets, particularly the NFT market, okay? And that is just gaining more and more momentum, right? Anyone can tokenize themselves. I could tokenize myself. You can tokenize education. You can tokenize anything, okay? Now, JP Morgan Securities expects 1.5 trillion flow into the cryptocurrency market, okay? As retail wealth managers instruct their clients to go into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And this allocation could be at least 5%, okay? And that's massive, right? We know we've got Goldman Sachs in there. We've got JP Morgan in there. We've got Morgan Stanley in there. Some of the biggest investment houses in the world are investing in cryptocurrency. So it's very obvious to me. Forget about the short-term machinations of a market going up and down. It's very obvious to me that this market is going to be a lot higher going forward. And I cannot be any more bullish than what I am. Just because the market's down 10 to 15% doesn't mean it's going down to zero, right? You can't panic that way, you know, particularly in your investment portfolios and even in your trading portfolios. I've done this for a long time. I've had positions, you know, I've been a manager of money 40 years and I know markets, seriously. And it's human behavior. That's it. People are sitting on a lot of profit. They're going to take it and then they're going to reset themselves, ready for the market to go up again, right? Once the selling's done, people start getting long again. And that's just typical of markets, okay? Very, very typical of markets, right? Now, if we look at Mazzari and we go to real volume, what was done last night or 24-hour period, we find that Tether was 27.38 billion, which is massive. Bitcoin, 13.71 bill. Ethereum, 5.43 bill. Binance US coin, 403 bill. Gee, that's been doing a lot. Polkadot, 1.51 bill. Binance itself, 1.49 bill. THETA did 1.44 bill. Then we've got XRP at 1.21 bill. ADA at 1.11 bill. Wow, some volume here, isn't there? Phil at 917 mil. Then we've got Litecoin, Chainlink, Harmony, Pundex, Chiles, which I love, for 78 mil. And I see this as a buy here, seriously. Anywhere under 50 for Chiles, I'm buying. VeChain's down 14% at 0.078. I'm buying. It's just a no-brainer. BitTorrent, again, no-brainer for me. Seriously, this just gives me an opportunity to get into this market at even better levels as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's just go to the news, okay? Let's start with that first. Now, asset management giant Fidelity is preparing to launch its own Bitcoin ETF through its subsidiary FD Funds Management to launch the Wise Origin Bitcoin Trust, okay? Don't forget exchange traded fund, which goes on the equity market, okay? So that's a fund, okay? And you're going to pay commission to get into that fund. You're better off being in direct cryptocurrency. And don't forget, when there's implosions in markets, funds actually close down. They lock up, okay? And you may not be able to get your money when markets really implode, right? Now, crypto exchange FTC, what do? They secured the naming rights of the NBA team Miami Heat and home arena for $135 million, and they're going to call themselves, I think, FTX Arena or something. Okay, that's another story. CoinSquare ordered to hand over client data to Canadian tax authorities. Fair income. I mean, this goes on and on. Seriously, the regulators are just a joke. We saw this with Coinbase having to hand over, all client information. Seriously, it just, supposedly no regulation, but the regulatory environment in the US and Canada is just a shocker, right? We see this with Ripple too, right? With this Ripple SEC case, Ripple had to produce, listen to this, 303,000 documents during the SEC investigation. Can you imagine that? Being a corporate or trying to run a business, and you've got to produce 303,000 SEC documents during the SEC investigation. Could you imagine the time and the cost of having to do this with your own employees, producing this sort of information? Seriously, Ripple must be pulling its hair out. And fair income, I just believe the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, is a joke. Honestly, a joke. They never came out with anything years ago about whether XRP was a security or not. XRP was put in a position where it believed it wasn't security because one of the departments said that they were not a security, and now the SEC is making them do this, and this is a joke, and this could go on for God knows how long. Seriously, the US regulators have to get their bloody act together, because as far as I'm concerned, they have no bloody clue. Fair income, they're just a bunch of old fuddy-duddies. Fair income, and I'll say it again, they're a bunch of old fuddy-duddies and they have not got a friggin' clue, right? And in this environment, it doesn't make sense for me, if I was a corporate in the US, like Ripple, to stay in the US. I think their immediate jawbone reaction was to move out of the US and go to a much more crypto-friendly country like Singapore. And we see that a lot of people are starting to move to Singapore. We saw Waves do it, to set up their office in Singapore. We've seen other shops do the same thing, right? And it doesn't surprise me, because Singapore is very pro cryptocurrency. They gave Ripple a license, a free license issued by the Monetary Authority of Singapore to set up their exchange and their business there. Also, they did it with Binance Exchange. They gave them the free license to come into Singapore and to set up a big exchange, okay? They are much more proactive about cryptocurrency and the new technology than the UK or Canada or even the US. Now, we've seen it with Wirex as well, right? In the UK, the FATF. Harassing Wirex, and Wirex now can't even, sign up UK clients because of bloody, so-called regulation. It's just a joke, man. I just think this regulatory environment is an absolute joke. Fair income, I really do. Now, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, Skybridge, Morgan Stanley, Van Eyck, Valkyrie, who else? I can't even read my writing here. Wisdom Tree, Bitwise, and others have all set up, have all applied or setting up Bitcoin funds, for ETFs, right? And so this is all funds management, right? All these huge, big corporate conglomerates, investment banks and venture capitalists and index funds are setting up funds in Bitcoin. And if they do that with Bitcoin, they're going to set it up in other cryptocurrencies as well. It's just a matter of time, okay? Now, today, the referendum ends today for Flare to decide whether they're going to integrate Cardano, and they'll release that announcement tomorrow. So that would be great for Flare if they integrate Cardano, okay? Cardano is working on smart contracts, but they don't have smart contracts yet. So that would be a really good story for Cardano. Also, if we look at other news for Cardano, let me just go through my book. They're working on a scaling up in order to incorporate non-fungible token marketplace, right? And that's huge. NFTs are going to be huge, fair income. Whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's entertainers, whether it's soccer, whether it's sports, NFTs could take over all the crypto market as a specialized exchange, like we see with Chileans, right? Now, also Cardano want more DeFi apps on its system, and it's just basically saying to the DApp providers, Ethereum is just way too expensive and it's not sustainable. And we know that because Ethereum is not yet proof of stake. And we've seen the crypto fees. If you go into crypto fees, you will see how expensive Ethereum is, and everyone pays for that if they're using an ERC20 coin, okay? It's just way too expensive. And if it doesn't get its cost down, it is just going to underperform, okay? And there is no doubt about that in my mind. And that's why I don't want to hold Ethereum at all. Now, Algorand, and now they have this client that's going to go on Algorand blockchain, right, for non-fungible tokens, right? And they've got Italy's largest copyright institution, and it's basically for writers and this sort of thing. And this corporation in Italy basically has been around since 1882. So this is a big client for Algorand, okay? And basically Algorand says a part of this institution, they have 95,000 creators. So this is a really good story. Now, I don't generally like Algorand, but it's the first client I've seen that they've actually put on. So that's a good story for Algorand, but I would honestly say it's already priced into Algorand because it's gone a long way, okay? A long way indeed. Now, non-FTs are also coming to Polkadot via Pokemon, as I mentioned yesterday, and also through Kusama. There's a link between Polkadot and Kusama, and they intend to expand into non-fungible tokens or even fungible tokens particularly. Now, Crypto.com is listing Flow, 50% of a $250,000 allocation, and you can stake Crow. Now, we're in Crow, and we love the story of Crow, and I do believe Crow will go higher, okay? Now, the CBOE, the Chicago Board of Exchange, has acquired CHX Exchange, which is an Asian exchange in the Pacific, to enter the Asian, Japanese, and Australian markets. I know this exchange well because it's in Australia. So it's interesting that CBO, the American Chicago Board of Exchange, actually have acquired CHIX. It's an Aussie exchange, okay? Very, very interesting. Now, I mentioned blockchain also. Blockchain.com raised $300 million, right, to expand in the cryptocurrency market, and the evaluation is $5.2 billion in evaluation, right? Now, this gives them an opportunity for $300 million of equity raising to basically expand wherever they want to go. Now, blockchain is currently in 200 countries. It has 70 million wallets, which is a lot, and they have 31 million verified users, which, is a great story for them. I wonder whether they have a crypto, because that would be interesting to look at, definitely, to see if there's a crypto. In terms of the sell-off, all I can find is that basically whales were dumping it. The charts were looking very like the sellers wanted to get into control. And look, when markets go up and there is profit to be had, people will take it. Problem is with people, they always hold on to their losses and they cut their profits too quickly, okay? And that's what people do, and you should be doing the opposite. Cutting your losses fast and letting your profits run. Even if they come back a bit, the next level up, your profits are going to be higher, okay? That's a fact, right? And if you look at all the exchanges, and I look at LinkedIn and what the exchanges, who they're employing all over the world. Seriously, it's everywhere. They need they need people to work in all different areas. The exchanges, Binance is looking for 500, 600 people, right? Coinbase is looking for heaps of people. Qcoin's looking for heaps of people. They all are. Seriously. Massive amount. There's a massive amounts of jobs being advertised everywhere. Now, also, the ATM radar, it's gone up since January by 21%, 22%. So now there's, in the US, 17,074 Bitcoin terminals that you can go to, Bitcoin ATM, and compared to January 13,928, which is massive, okay? Now, Skrill Wallet also, which is by PaySafe, partnered with Coinbase, which is available in the US across 37 US states. in the US, which is interesting. It's an interesting tie-up, actually. Skrill Wallet and Coinbase, very interesting time. Also, OKEx invested in Solano's economic system with MXC and invested 40 million in Solano's economic ecosystem. Now, you're finding a lot of crypto exchanges are doing this. They're investing in particular ecosystems for crypto technology. And Binance does this all the time. And this is how these people make money too. I mean, it's money for jam for the exchanges. Seriously, money for jam. Now, One Inch Partners also is partnered with Ren in a joint farming venture, okay? And this is on Binance Smart Chain. So that's interesting. One Inch has partnered with Ren. Very interesting. A joint farming program, which is on Binance, right? Now, Binance is also partnered with CapBridge Financial, online integration platform regulated by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, right? And a lot's going on in Singapore, so keep an eye on that. And this is basically, this CapBridge Financial is a platform for private security exchanges, right? Which sort of makes out, it could be an NFT that's a security, right? Or it's regulated or whatever it is, right? We saw something like that the other day. Okay, so this market's getting huge. Binance also hires 2 former FATF executives, which is under the UK law, I think, as regulatory, or it might be the US, as regulatory and compliance officers. Now, that doesn't surprise me because Binance, is being looked at by the Futures Commission, which is a joke because, why should they be looking at Binance or anyone else? Seriously. I mean, this regulation in the US is a killer. Temasek, which is one of Singapore's largest sovereign wealth funds, has invested 306 million in Bitcoin. And, you'll find these sovereign wealth companies and institutions, wealth funds, will invest more and more. Norway's got one of the biggest sovereign wealth funds in the world because they were smart. They thought that their oil was going to run dry, and so they put all their money into a sovereign wealth fund about 40, 50, 60 years ago. And it's one of the largest in the world and makes a fortune. And they're invested in MicroStrategy that invests in Bitcoin. So it's only a matter of time before all the sovereign wealth funds come in, all the pension funds, all the insurance funds, which need to get a higher rate of return than what they've got. They're struggling, and they will come into these markets. I have no doubt in my mind, okay? Also, THETA got sold off last night. It was very toppy, the THETA network. It postponed its mainnet 3 till June, and I don't know why, but that's not great if they're postponing their technology. Okay, so, what else? What else is happening today? Anything else of interest? So let's just go back and have a quick squiz here. And what else do I want to say here today? Now, also, if we look at our trading model, we've got 371 bullish against 548 bearish. Now, if this market comes down lower, I'm going to be buying some more. You can, this is not advice. This is education only, and this is what I believe for me and my risk tolerance and for my investment portfolio, my trading portfolio. Okay, everyone has a different risk tolerance. Everyone can afford different things. Everyone's a different age. You have different priorities. So you need to, put yourself in investments that you are comfortable with in terms of your own risk tolerance, okay? If we invest in cryptocurrency markets or trade cryptocurrency markets, we are taking on a lot of risk. But for me, I am happy to take on that risk because I see where this market is going. Just because you buy something yesterday and the market goes down doesn't mean you're wrong. You never get the top of the market and you never get the bottom of the market. You want to get the cream in between, okay? We don't have hindsight to buy exactly at the right time, and we don't have hindsight to sell at the right time. Otherwise, I'd be a multi. I'd be a billionaire if I had that hindsight, right? I'd sell my house, right, and put $1 million into the crypto market, right? But, I'm not that risky. I wouldn't sell my house. But, sometimes I believe in it so much, I wish I could. But you know what I'm saying? But everyone has their own risk tolerance. Just because you buy something and someone says, oh, Susie, you told me to buy this. So you got to look at it in your own risk tolerance, right? I'm not telling you to buy. I'm educating people, and this is what I'm doing. I think it's a great buy. So if you buy, that's at your own risk, okay? Wake up Australia, Fed income, Wake up Australia. You have to control your own risk like you're your own private banker. It is not my responsibility to control your risk. And I want to make that really clear. This is education, but again, whether you buy into the market is at your own risk. As I said, the cryptocurrency market has massive operational risk and massive risk compared to other fiat markets. But I know where I want to be because the risk is minute to the return. I'm happy to take that level of risk for the return I'm going to get, okay? And it's just that simple, right? Now, if I look at worldwide searches, what were popular globally in the last 24 hours, what was it, Eternity Chain? Pancake Swap always comes up there, doesn't it? OVP, Polygon, which is Matic, which we love, Harmony, Adidas, and Vespa Finance. If I look at the 10 out of 10 on Luna, what is it, Luna Crush, Pundus X, Filecoin, Anchor, ANKR, Tether, Contentus, Binance USD, Cardano, what else we got? Aragon, Ethereum, and RWK, okay? Now, interesting enough, Binance US has done so much volume lately, and I don't know why people buy this. It's supposedly a stable coin, 1 for 1, but still, it's done a huge amount of volume. It's really interesting. Now, what else do we have apart from that? So if I look at the charts for crypto today, and then I'll go to the fiat market, if I look at the charts that held their 200-day moving average over a 4-hour time period, and that's what I look at, okay? A 4-hour time period, because I love the 4-hour. And it held a 200-day moving average over the 4 hours, right? So it's a 200-day over a 4-hour, right? The ones that are still above that, which is still, to me, bullish, is Ambrosis, AST, BTT, Chiles, Crow, Engine, FET, Fun, HBAR, Just, LSK, Polygon, MFT, Myth, NEXO is close, One, ONT, what else we got? Power, Poly, QTUM, which has done really well, Request, THETA, TKY, TRX, VChain, Walton Chain, XRP, and ZIL. So even with this sell-off, these are still holding their 200-day moving average, which in my mind is bullish, okay? Because I didn't get through that 200-day moving average, even though there was mass amounts of sellers out there, okay? Now, don't forget, we do have those Bitcoin option strikes maturing tomorrow. So that's going to make this market very interesting tomorrow, okay? Very, very interesting. We knew there was going to be a breakout one way or the other because the buyers and the sellers were constantly tussling with each other. The buyers were trying to gain control, and then the sellers were hammering and hammering. We've seen that in the last week and a half. It's been very frustrating to try and trade this market. There's no doubt about it. So, if we go to the other news, and look, it's always extremely interesting to me, the news that comes out, but this just, when I look at this market, I'm just going, wow, can I buy this thing at, this amount? And I've got Walton Chain today. I don't know whether this is right, up 13% at $1.82. I have to check that. But I bought that coin for the investment portfolio at 90 cents. It's just a no-brainer. It's so cheap. So let me just check if that's right, because it's doing extremely well when the rest of the market's selling off. I know it must be wrong. I've got it up here at 135 on Mazzari. Sometimes this crypto compare doesn't show you the right thing. It gets itself in a bit of a muddle. I have to say that. Okay, so let's look at the rest of all the other markets. Now we know the equity market went bearish, and it's been bearish for the last couple of days, but it looks like it's getting to be oversold. Okay, the Dow broke. So did the Nasdaq, and the Russell 2000 was down 3.63%, which is a lot, okay? And that's a wider index that incorporates more than 2,000 stocks, okay? We see that the Nasdaq broke 1275, which was a big level of support. It's currently at 12712. It was down 87 last night. But I do believe with all this money coming in, and it will, the equity market will reach a level just like the cryptocurrency market and money will start coming in big time. Okay, big time. Now let's have a look at the commodity markets. Didn't do anything. Gold still at 17.35. Silver's at 24.98. Oil's at 58.26. Irrespective of this large, 220-ton ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal, which sounds really weird to me. How could a ship get stuck in the Suez Canal? It just doesn't sound right. Which blocked 10 crude tankers, okay? And that was what was causing this volatility in oil. It just sounds really weird. And then if we look at the interest rates, the US 10-year bond rate has been brought down to 1.61. Interesting, huh? Because they really want that bond rate yield below 1.6. And they will continue to drive that down as far as I'm concerned. There will be manipulation in the capital markets to drive down that US bond rate. Anything over 1.6 is bad for the US retail consumer with their mortgage rates, right? So as far as I'm concerned, the Fed will buy the long end of the yield curve, the 10-year, to keep those rates low. And the thing is, the higher the US rates go, it's not great for the US because their currency rises and it makes them less competitive when we talk about their current account deficit, or their ability to earn revenue from overseas. With a higher currency, it makes it more expensive for overseas to buy US goods, right? It's just that simple, right? Now, this COVID package, apparently there has been some delays with the $1,400 going to pensioners and unemployed people and this sort of thing, which is not great. COVID's still rising globally and people in the US are not getting their money, which is seriously, seriously bad, okay? Now, today there's Q4 estimates in the USD, in US, growth domestic product. This is going to be bloody interesting, this stat, I have to say. There are speakers today, Fed speakers. Christine Lagarde from the ECB is going to be speaking. Also, Bailey from the UK central bank is also going to be speaking. And, with this initial jobless claim that came out, it was just so bad and it's not getting any better. At least the Fed with no alternative but to plough more money into the system, okay? With more money in the system, these risk markets will go higher. It's just time. So relax, sit back, just wait a couple of days, a week, and this market will be completely different. It'll be higher. I have no doubt in my mind about it. That's my view. You can take it or leave it. It's education only. But just relax. You never get the bottom. You never get the top. You're looking for the cream in between, okay, to make serious wealth. And that's just the way it goes. And that's markets. All right, darlings, I'll let you go. Have a great day, my darlings. And thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. I'm actually really enjoying these podcasts. I prefer them to YouTube, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, guys and girls, have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Susie.